Hey everybody, today on the bench, I'm happy to introduce to you Rod Buhrsmith, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Rod came over to my backyard sauna and we sat on the sauna bench, and it was a monumental day in this global coronavirus thing because things were really shutting down this day, and yet it was our chance to sit together. We visited about his father-in-law, who Rod really dedicated a lot of time to help, get better through a brain aneurysm that his father-in-law had. And we talk a lot about Stokeyard Outfitters. Rod is the joint owner with John Peterson in this emerging business of sauna, activating sauna at two locations, the Hewing Hotel, downtown Minneapolis, and the Village, 4700 Nicollet Avenue South. Mobile is our kind of thing, he says. Discussion about the mobile assets and the capital that Rod put forth into the business to bring a couple mobile saunas forward as an activating space for sauna at this location. And you'll hear the whole history of how this came to be. Quite fascinating. We talk about the cool down experience and the assets of that, the 5-gallon water bucket to the outdoor shower to the $73 100-gallon stock tank cold plunge that you can have. The Friday happy hour sauna and how that came about. And the collaboration with Custom Mobile Saunas, now called Voyager Custom Saunas, with these mobile ice fish house chassis that have been really customized with Eric's work to create this mobile, authentic, really good heat sauna, and how easy they are to move around with one person. We get into the history of this whole thing, how it started with John and the 612 Sauna Society, and Rod coming on board and helping and building yard pallets and volunteering our time for the 612 Sauna Society, and then John and Rod moving away and starting their own craft brewery, as I say in the metaphor world, of multiple craft breweries in the town of Minneapolis, meaning multiple sauna businesses in the city of Minneapolis. And you'll hear a lot that I've learned about Rod and his day job with geospatial technologies, and also his philosophy of investing, an MBA and investing in people and some businesses. And I thought really impactful is about what makes him tick. 3 things that are really integral every day for him, for his mental and physical well-being, and how sauna plays a part in that. So without further ado, I'm really happy to bring you this episode at a time of gathering and reassessing what social distancing is meaning to us as individuals, and how two guys can get together on the sauna bench and make a connection. This show is brought to you by Nice Mug. Nice Mug is the only mug made entirely out of ice. For more information, go to nicemug.com and enter the coupon code SAUNA for 10% off your entire purchase. So welcome to Sauna Talk.
Oh, hey.
Yeah, man.
Now, do you just hold that the whole time?
The whole time. Yeah.
Oh my God, you're really you're well practiced at that. Your right arm must.
As you know, I was in Finland for 12 days, and I just kind of revisited those podcasts, and I did 12 podcasts in 12 days, and a big thank you to Cody. You haven't met Cody?
I have.
You have. Okay.
Yeah. Editor.
He's a junior at the University of Minnesota, and just a great kid. He's given me a lot of help, including what's in my right hand here, this little handheld thing. And what it is, for those listening, if you ever hear an athlete being interviewed, and then the journalists are around him, and some of them had these little recorders. You've seen them, right?
Oh,
These
yeah.
little square things. Yeah, so that's what I've been using. I used to have a pretty elaborate system, and I don't know if the sound quality is any better or worse with this little one, but I'm telling you, my life's a lot easier.
Well, and your arm it feels a lot better because it's like a couple ounces versus that like microphone I think I've seen you use.
And I used to bring my laptop into the hot room, which really was janky.
That is. All right, well, Sauna Talk has been around for 15 years, right?
No, I'd say, people ask me this all the time. I forget when I first recorded. I want to say maybe 4 years ago, 3 years, 4 years ago.
So it's in modern technology times.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, and I started Sauna Talk much like I started Sauna Times, without really an end game in mind, you know. Yeah. It's just something that people kept telling me to do.
I love that, without an end game in mind. Yeah. It's a really fun way to start something, isn't it?
Yeah, and you know, the contrary of that is you can say, oh, that's really flippant. You know, that's kind of stupid.
Laissez-faire. Yeah.
But it's been a calling, I guess, and not to get too spiritual, but there's been some really beautiful things, and it's great that they're on record and recorded.
Right.
Dr. Jari Laukkanen is a great example, sitting with him. Just a great guy. The work he's done for sauna research, really right on microphone, it kind of propelled the whole Sauna Research Institute, which is budding and happening. So, and I love it, and I think the Sauna Bench is a great place that fosters very open, fun thinking. And you and I have had many open, fun thoughts.
Right, whether we're on a drive or on the bench or splitting wood.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I've been wanting to have this episode for us because there's certain conversations we get into, and I'm like, hold it for the bench. Hold it for when we can sauna talk.
Right.
And now we have that chance.
We've been talking about it for at least 18 months.
Yeah,
I'm sure you've had a lot of people over the years you finally have a sauna talk with that's been marinating for years.
Yeah,
right?
Yes, definitely. This is one. I want to dive into so many things, but I wanted to get an intro with guests, you know, for people listening, about yourself, about your day. You know, sometimes this Sauna Talk episode is really no different from any two people sitting on the bench getting together. There's really not much different than what happens with any two guys getting on the bench. How was your day? You know?
Yeah.
Let's start with that. Tim, your father-in-law is with you now here in Minneapolis.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess I can't start the day without saying, you know, today is Coronavirus Day. COVID-19 Day in the United States. I think today, March 12th, is the day that most people are waking up and realizing, okay, this is going to impact me. I might get sick, but even if I don't get sick, things are shutting down around the world. So it's a really momentous day, you know, maybe with a bunch of tragedy, but it's also a reset, and there's some silver linings to come from this in so many ways. And so, yeah, that's what today is. And, you know, my day, kind of a normal day, I had some family things, which in this case was getting my father-in-law, who suffered a brain aneurysm 4 months ago, into some cognitive testing so that we can all have real information as to where he's at on living independently scale. So it's a really critical set of tests and moment on his path.
Do you think that he's pushing for that? I mean, he wants that. That's a milestone and a goal, I would guess, right?
Yeah, for him. I mean, he'll lie. You know, he'll do what's necessary to be independent, which is what I would do too. And so, you know, it's good to have. He's just going to probably go back to Maryland and try to start his life, even if the doctor's orders suggest otherwise. But we at least now will have an additional set of information and his CAT scan.
Yeah.
And really sit down and help him make the best decision for him. But he's an independent, autonomous human, so we can't treat him like an 8-year-old.
So, yeah, what Rod's talking about is, I just want to chime in and speak for him a little bit. He's had a real busy few months, you know, caring for his father-in-law. This isn't like hey, I'll see you on Tuesday. I mean, Rod and his wife Amy went out to Washington D.C. and spent, days and days in the hospital on watch. Never, note to those listening. My uncle is an MD, and rather you can attest to this. Is never leave your loved one alone. This was your line.
Not my line. It was and I was applying your uncle's line.
Yeah, you never leave your loved one alone in the hospital.
Yeah.
And that puts a lot of pressure on the caregivers. But this is what family's about. And you guys rallied. Your sister-in-law. How many were on rotation?
There were, I'd say, 1, 2, 3, 4 of us on active rotation.
Yeah.
Three on really active, and then the sister Brianna often. And yeah, that was. There was one weekend we all couldn't be there, and so Tim's sisters, one from Omaha and one from St. Paul, Minnesota, flew in, and they were on site. So we were managing so that he would every day have more than visitors. Have some actual time sitting, and 3-hour shifts kind of is how we managed it.
Yeah, right on. And that's boot camp, and it's tough. And he's recovering, and he's come to Minnesota to live with you guys. Another big, open arm example of your generosity and love, and it's what you would do, and it's what you are doing. Yeah. So hats off to you.
Thanks.
You've also been really busy in sauna, and that's what I'd really love to dive into. So now you're out in Washington, D.C. At the same time, you're the co-owner of a business that is budding.
Yeah, it's budding. It's a great word. It's, I guess, I don't know if it could boom any more than it is. Maybe if we had a bunch of venture-backed capital, we had millions, and we had strategists, we'd be in a booming, but we are a small organic company, Stokeyard Outfitters, and mostly our aim is to make sauna accessible to the public, and specifically through mobile assets or really well created, really nicely crafted saunas that other people own, like the Hewing Hotel. And so, a lot of press in January caused. We had to add more hours, and our sessions were selling out more regularly. So it's put us. Actually, I'd check people in for an evening, and I remember one evening 15 people came, and every one of them was new.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, it used to be if we get 1 or 2 new people, we're like, hey, all right.
Yeah.
But 15 were new.
Yeah. And a lot of it is the credit to the great media that you've attained in a very short time. You referenced that, but I just wanted to frame up for listeners what Rod's speaking about. Stokeyard Outfitters is activating sauna, Minneapolis, Minnesota, USA. Hewing Hotel is downtown Minneapolis. Wonderful rooftop vibe and programming there. The other location, and there's 2, right, Rod?
Okay. Yeah, the Village.
Yeah, the Village. This goes way back, and the Village. I if you don't mind, let's take it chronologically. We'll talk about the Village, and we can move it kind of quick because there's so much to talk about. But I really, if you're cool with it, I'd love to talk about the chronology because there's some great morals, lessons, learnings about this journey at 4700 Nicollet Ave South.
I agree. It's 2020 now. I probably got the keys in 2017.
Yeah.
Which coincided with needing to store a trailer, and I met this guy Eddie through my good friend Michael Lander, and I asked him, "Hey, I got a trailer to store. Do you own any land?"
And how did you know that he? Oh, you asked Eddie if he knew that.
We were having lunch, and I just randomly, because 2017 isn't where the story of the Village began. It actually begins. It begins even before I'm around. And it's you on the sauna beat. It's meeting John Peterson, and whichever way you did. And I know he's been a featured Sauna Talk guest. And then the meeting of John Peterson over time created a cooperative, the 612 Cooperative, which is really when I came in the scene. And then after that was formed and it had its first elections, I was the president, the first unelected but appointed president of the board. And so we had a proper election, had a new president come in. She's the current president, Caroline Lana. And so that baby, in essence, that we helped create is doing its thing. And then we formed the Stokeyard Outfitters. And the village was still just a storage lot until Glenn and John and I started just kind of using it on the side. We built our first mobile sauna that we were using for rentals and events, and we used custom mobile saunas down in Shakopee, which Glenn had also met the owner of several years earlier when he was exclusively making ice houses, generally higher end, mid to higher end ice houses. His inventory turnover was low. He was dealing with very complicated wiring and hydraulic and lots of bells and whistles. And through a lot of discussion with you, as I understand it from history, he tilted initially to sauna, and now he's full on pivoted. And in fact, he's going to go through a name change that's going to come out and market here in the coming days. And I won't say. Well, actually, I can say what it is.
Sure, because by the time this is out,
Voyager.
Funny?
Voyager, beautiful name.
Yeah.
Voyager Custom Saunas.
EUR, VOYAGEUR.
Yeah, like the French Canadian, the Voyageur.
So we should get the accent going when we talk to them.
Absolutely, we should. Just like
Bonjour.
we say sauna.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that it's wrong to say sauna, but if we're like celebrating the specific Finnish thing here.
So I'm going to create a controversy on that right away.
All right.
First of all, you did a great chronology, and we're going to pick right up at that moment in a moment. But when you talk about pronunciation, voyageur, and the French accent, and it's when you go up to the boundary waters and you pick up your canoe and you take it from one lake to the other. What are you doing?
I'm portaging. Oh, what am I doing?
You're doing that.
Yeah.
Okay, you say it again.
Portage.
Portage. How come you're not portaging?
Well, I mean, portage is I think a portage is like the Anglo way of saying it, and it's acceptable. But I think portage is a French word.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, does it matter if we say sauna or sauna?
Well, in kind of in the real world, no. In a world where if like I operate a business that has to do with sauna, thermic bathing, banya. I mean, what you call it, and so I have to be mindful that these are terms of art in this field. It's and it doesn't mean we're kind of geeking out. I mean, I was about to say we're not really nerding out on it, but we are.
Yeah, and this is sauna talk.
That's right.
So here's how I apply it. So when I'm in the boundary waters and I'm taking my canoe from one lake to another, and I'm on the American side, I'm portaging. And as soon as I cross the border, I switch to portage.
Nice. That's great. It's a different, these things. I mean, it's the same activity, and now, so you imagine instead of you're an American coming up, you're like a French, a French.
Oh, I do put my beret on too.
Oh, you do?
I do.
Then of course, I mean, if you didn't do portage, it'd be like, what the fuck?
That's it. Back to the chronology.
Yeah.
Stokeyard Outfitters comes to life. I akin this to the craft brewing industry, and you've heard my metaphor many a time. I love the beer coming out of the 612 Sauna Society, and I'm on the board. I'm the vice president, and we had that transition around the same time.
That's right.
You and John
on the board.
You and John encouraged me to move forth and do that, and I was doing it thinking I was going to work with you guys.
Oh,
and then you each back out, which was tactfully very good. I would say clever.
First, and then him, I don't know, a year and a half later.
Yeah. So we're making great beer in Minneapolis, St. Paul.
That's right.
And the rising tide is lifting many boats.
There's a lot of beer drinkers. There's a lot of sauna goers.
Well, I look at it like this. There's a lot of Miller and Bud drinkers.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of those that used to be Miller and Bud drinkers that have found really good beer.
That's
And
right.
I don't mean to stab those guys in the back because this episode is sponsored by Miller Brewing Company.
Yummy.
But no, the metaphor to me is very dear because of quality, right? Of quality and discovering something. When you think about the craft brewing revolution, it was these hops that came from Great Britain, and Belgium and brewers started doing this in a very cottage way. I mean, they were brewing in their basement, small batches, getting a label, and then navigating through the circuitous route of being legal, and what are the municipal ordinances, and then all in the love of making good beer.
Right. They had to navigate the system, but they were impassioned by their creation that it was worthwhile.
Yeah.
They didn't have private equity venture capitalists back then. I think it was just dudes that grew up in families that grew hops or knew how to do something with hops. And
does this remind you of the culture of thermoculture and sauna and the Twin Cities right now?
well, it is. What's different is there is no Miller, there is no Budweiser. There's nothing on a scale that we're improving. In fact, what there are little pockets of saunas and Lifetime and in the YWCA and in people's homes, and that's in essence home brewers that decided to let their beer go bad. They're just like, oh, I can't mess with it anymore, because as you know, I walk into most public saunas that are in gyms and hotels, and there's some features missing. It can't actually be called a sauna. It could be called a hot room, just like a generic hot room.
Yep.
But
and if you
not
want to
putting water
stretch,
on the
you want to
rocks.
keep your headphones on and listen to Lady Gaga and stretch on the bench.
That's
God
right.
love you.
That's right. And
It's the appropriate place for that.
You're doing these 3-minute little what you think are power rounds. And there's some great things. Putting your exercised hamstring on a warm bench. It doesn't have to be 15 minutes, and that's cool. Use of all these spots that provide therapeutic value. But anyway, so the thing I would take exception, there's no big scale like in Finland or in the Netherlands or Germany where there are actually big public saunas. But what we're like these home brewers. There's a bunch of home brewers that the ordinances, or actually the platform we're choosing on a trailer allows us to be around restrictive ordinances and allows us to, in essence, set up our lemonade stand or our little beer tent for a moment and serve our beer.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, and it's going to scale. And, there'll be bricks and mortar, and there'll be, things that are far more formalized. But this is the movement, how it happens. The more thousands of people that experience what public sauna can do for them, and socially as well as therapeutically. There's gonna be some big scale operations. I don't know what role we'll have in it. What we really like is the organic mobile. Mobile's kind of our thing. So
Thank you. So back to mobile. You reach out to Eddie and you say, hey, I'm looking for a place to store my mobile assets, my trailers.
yeah.
And Eddie says what?
He says, I got a perfect spot. I'm not going to develop it anytime soon. Here are the keys. Just please make sure you take care of the snow and the grass.
And when he told you the address, what was the first thought you had?
Well, I had to go look at it. And, it's so close to where I live.
Yeah.
So I was so pleased about that.
How close?
5 blocks.
Yeah. Is that divine intervention, or what do they call that?
Yeah.
It's
kismet.
Kismet, kind of meant to be, or wow. Could you craft a better situation?
No, right, because there's so many reasons why this is in the state that it's in, and one of those is how convenient it is to my house.
Yeah.
Because opening the village is laborsome, and given that we don't currently have water there, and we don't have electricity, there's certain things that need to happen away from it. So my house is like, village, little mini village, where I get water.
Staging area.
And I print our roster.
Yeah.
And I'm an old school guy. I'm 50, so I like to have my little readers on, and I like a piece of paper.
Nice.
I know I could see it on the
Analog.
iPad. Yeah.
Analog. I love
But
that.
yeah, so I light the fires. I mean, you're a host too.
Sure.
And you and I are the best hosts at kind of getting the fires lit and kind of creating the hot room ambiance that's necessary the moment a guest checks in.
Yeah.
And I like that part.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if I didn't like that part, I don't know, that's the kind of thing, like, maybe this thing wouldn't have advanced as far, because one part of it, or JP, John, my partner, would get weary or get sick. I mean, it's very fragile how things develop. I mean, we're kind of on a linear trajectory now. And, well, small businesses that get to enjoy a period of linear growth,
Yeah.
that's kind of neat.
Because you're not stepping on yourself.
That's right.
You're not falling off your skis.
Not falling off the skis. That's right. We're not over the tips. It's happening,
Yeah.
but we're still we haven't like hired labor. We've found within our community, like you and Teak, partners that are more than just, hey, I got a website, you got a website, let's put each other's logo on it. I mean, that's great. That's a fine partnership. But it's a real partnership in the SEO world. But we also need a tactical, on the ground, in the trenches partnership. And you know that as well as anyone, given the number of times that you've led or participated in the build days that we need to have, which we're going to have some upcoming right now. The coronavirus has actually given us about 3 weeks to recreate our village, which was already in motion, but we were going to wedge it around people's experiences. And frankly, that is not ideal. So
No.
Corona has given us a time where we can lean into that build enjoyably, not feel the crush of time, and we'll then be able to riff also. We'll be able to add scope on the fly. Like,
I want to come back to that word riff in a second. I just want to fill the gap in on the chronology of Eddie. You got the keys.
So Eddie,
No, and you're doing great, Rod. Part of my job is to try to be unlike how I normally am.
focused.
And task. I'm trying to think on behalf of you guys listening, and I'd be sitting in my car or whatever saying, fuck, I hope he goes back to what happened with the keys.
Yeah.
So that's where we are. You put the keys in, and you open the 4700 Nicollet Ave South, all fenced in with barbed wire, and you're like, I could put my stuff here, my trailers. Yeah.
And that was just exciting in and of itself. And by the way, Eddie, the new owner of Parkway Theater and the Burrito El Mercado building, formerly open or operated by Pepitos, is he's like in over his head with his own organic project. And Parkway is like incredible what's happening there. And he knows he can't take his foot off the gas right now. He's got to keep it on.
Yeah.
And in the same way, like we don't, but he's one level above where we are.
He's humming. The humming is louder in his scope.
That's right. I mean, we're like a 2-stroke, and he's moving to 4-stroke.
That's great.
And soon, he'll be 6 cylinders, and we'll be 4.
He's got a bigger boat moving.
He does. He's got a bigger nut. I mean, one of the secrets of the village is its monthly operating costs are very low. In part because Eddie hasn't asked for anything.
Yeah.
So
he's asked for some in-kind love, and we've leaned into that all in and more.
Always.
Like you referenced, the shoveling, the maintaining,
and the communication. He's really appreciated that. We've figured everything out. We've never asked him to figure something out.
That's it. Yeah, well said. That's a great lesson. So the keys go in, trailers fit. Then Eric Custom Mobile Saunas comes on, and you commission for a couple saunas.
Yeah, and so that would be late 2018.
Just
I'd
over
say
a year
October
ago.
of 18.
Yeah, so
maybe a little bit before that, because those. Yeah, so I'd say in the August to September timeframe, we cut a check to Eric for the first one.
Just for those trying to keep score, that's only 17 months from the day Rod put the key in 4700 Nicollet Ave South. Yeah.
Do we just walk with it?
We can do that. Yeah, so we'll pick up on that that moment there.
Yeah,
he goes
the
in.
The Eddie moment. We're
The
still
Eddie
on
moment.
The
The Eddie moment.
Right.
Yeah, so Eddie and the keys, and I just have to wind the clock back. So we sat. So Rod and I, we sat outside. We had a great little chat. We cold plunged. I just want to encourage you folks that have your own saunas in your own backyard. if I can boast about the vibe
yeah.
out there, do you want to speak to it when we left the hot
well,
room and
I would say
it works?
It's been my big, one of the biggest learnings of last year. Last year was the biggest sauna year of my life, and not business-wise, just the number of saunas I did, how it's become part of my life, and cold plunge was, I've had an experience, man, way up in Camp Minogan, sauna, jump in the lake. I know what that feels like, but to have it not be a novelty and just be a regular part of the experience, not only, the rinsing of the sweat, so there's a cleansing element, and you don't need to jump in a lake or a trough to
So
get
when
the cleansing element.
when we left the hot room, how did we do that?
Yeah, so we went right underneath a hose-fed shower head, basically just a hose that's been mounted with zip ties and other hardware to a fence post, and you turn it on very simply, rinse all the sweat off. It's refreshing in its own way, and that's an end state right there. You can just stop there. As you can with this, I'm holding a pint size, maybe a liter size plastic, listen. So this with cold water, great rinse, clean
with a 5-gallon bucket.
Yeah, clean the sweat off, feel refreshing, but the plunge is, it's like an order of magnitude better.
Yeah.
So an end state that is an order of magnitude better is like heaven or nirvana, or it's more spiritual than a rinse.
Well said. And that's easily creatable in your own backyard with a garden hose, a couple zip ties, and we went to Fleet Farm and bought the cold plunge.
Under $100, $79. You get a Rubbermaid, black, extruded, hardy, easily drainable cold plunge. We use them at the Hewing now. You bought the first one in our tribe, and that's for mobile ops. There's just nothing easier than that for cold plunge.
There is some functionality to that unit specifically, that thing, and the material that it's made of, and it's what is this, concave?
It's flared.
Oh, flared. Better said flared. There's some now.
The sides are flared out.
The sides are flared out. Yeah. Now those metal ones that you see, and sometimes they're used as planters and all that, and the walls are vertical,
yes.
and not good. And I'm going to tell the aesthetic of the aluminum is nice, but the ones we're using with that flare is great on two levels. First of all, it's nice because you kind of settle into it. You go in and it kind of guides you into the center of it. So it's functional that way, but it's very functional for freezing. So you've come out there when you've had an inch or two of ice, right? Right. It freezes up, so it won't crack that plastic.
You're right.
Whatever. Those metal ones, man, you get an inch or two of freeze and it pushes out, and you get a hole in those things.
Well, right, and you can flip it over, and because it's flared, the ice flops out.
Yes.
Like a Teflon pan.
There you go. There you go.
Okay, but I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah.
So the cold plunge. So much of my adult sauna experiences has come through a lot of what you do and how you do it, whether it's the Kuma stove, wood splitting techniques, cold plunge, and back to Eddie and the Keys. You would remember, of course you would remember, but it's really important for the chronology that activation of that space, not just as a storage facility for trailers, came really through conversations with you. And so we just started, you've been doing happy hour sauna at your house for how many years?
Well, we're sitting right here since 2003 when I built this sauna. But really the Friday happy hour sauna goes back to 1999 when I built my first sauna at 3512 Aldrich. So
okay.
Yeah, man, a long time. And
a long
I've
time. So
into
hundreds
Friday
of them. Hundreds of Friday happy hour saunas with all your accoutrement here and your flow and the privacy fences. And you just said, I'm gonna, host a couple happy hour Fridays over here. Just use this unit and just check out what's going on here.
Yeah.
And so that was a novelty to begin with. But then I think it was like a conversation of like what the village, or it was called the yard, really.
Yeah. Well, we first started calling it 4700.
Yeah.
Because that's where it was.
And then we called it the yard after that.
Yeah. Because I always call this 5621, and we would, say, hey, sauna? Question mark. This count 5621? No, 4700.
That's right.
And then I say 4 p.m. and then you go 1600
Oh,
because
right.
you're one of those guys.
That's right.
So a whole sauna sessions were organized through numbers.
You're right.
80% number, and so I think 4700 really sort of was an easy way to understand where and what we're talking about.
So true. So it's really so that. I don't know when that was. That was more than 1 year ago, because you also kind of took, a bit of the lead, or at least equal footing with me in terms of creating the first version of the yard of 4700. And it included things we already had, our yard pallets and a unit.
There's a lot of that, yeah.
Yeah, it was just just arranging things for our own private use.
But what's really significant is the saunas that we were saunaing in were saunas that you commissioned to
That's
build,
right.
get built.
Yep,
From Eric at Custom Mobile Saunas.
that's right.
And Eric and I had been collaborating for a long time, and he built his first one. And as soon as you saw it, I don't want to put thoughts or words in your mouth, but a light bulb went on for you.
Yeah.
Is that about right?
Yeah, I feel like the first time I saw it might have been at Bauhaus. And at that time, John and I had completed our first project really as owners of Stokeyard. It had nothing to do with hewing or these things. I mean, honestly, it's a strange thing, but my day job does not require me to build things or be manual. And doing the build of the forge, the 612, which was the 612 Sauna Society cooperative members came together over about a 45-day period, and in the backyard of John Peterson's house, led by general contractor Glenn here, we built. And we built the forge.
And for listeners, what was your niche on that build? Can I say, or do you want to say?
Oh no, yeah. What do you think it is?
Well, Rod has this Sprinter van, and he was decking it out, but it was in its raw state at the time. So it was a great transport vehicle for materials.
Oh yeah.
And you and John did so well. You guys, I was kind of a madman in the hot room.
Yeah.
And John would set up these volunteers to come over, and he wanted to get the hell out of there because he didn't want to see steam coming out of my ears. I can be a real pain in the ass to lead. When I'm building, I'm very focused, and I really don't. And so
you have no idea who your work crew is. Is it Sarah? Oh, hey, Jill, never met you. Hey, do you know how to swing a hammer? I don't know.
Yeah, there was a lot of that, and yet it was really well intended and good spirited. And so I learned there to be a little more patient, I suppose. But I wasn't going to give anyone shit. I mean, they were there as a volunteer, so it worked its way out. But in John, in his clever way, I think he's really good at letting people be,
Yeah,
and they
not jumping in the middle of things, just kind of like watching over there and letting the things just unfold.
Yeah, and so I think you and he found a nice home together of going to Home Depot and picking shit up.
We did.
You could get away and let the build thing.
Cedar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the yard pallets. I thought you were gonna. Of all the build, I mean, the yard pallets are kind of my jam. I made so many of them just by myself. There was a little process for it, and we're gonna make more yard pallets actually.
Yep. And Rod's referring to these 2x2 cedar, 4 foot long.
Pine actually.
That was pine. You're right.
Yeah, we can upgrade. We could do something different. But I mean, they've held up quite well.
They really have, and that's amazing for pine because they are on grade. And so by that nature, pine does usually not last long because it absorbs moisture and it rots
Right,
easily.
and it's sitting mostly on class 5 kind of material
Which
or
really,
sand.
that really helps keep the life of that.
It
Because
does.
it dries, doesn't it?
Well, I was thinking it just I guess it doesn't stay moist the way impervious surfaces do, right? Where moisture just gets trapped and it never leaves.
These are 2x2s, 4 feet long, pine, and you drill about a foot in on each side, and you drill in the.
You run rope.
Yep.
But we're going to upgrade. The next one we'll upgrade in a couple of ways. But as a functional mobile op, kind of create a space where people can stand outside and have their feet off of whatever the surface is. These things roll up. They only weigh about 25 pounds. You can easily roll up half a dozen of them and kind of throw them into the unit or in the back of your truck. And they're quite inexpensive, to make the materials. It takes some time, but once you get the process, drill press holes, thread ropes, have the spacers already, there's just, anyway, I kind of nerded out.
Yeah,
on the yard pallets.
and you did a great job. So.
I did like 40 of them. Personally.
And they're still around everywhere. Toss some water, would you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we were just jamming over at 4700, having Friday happy hour saunas, and I want to speak to the fact that it wouldn't have happened had you, as a partner of Stokeyard Outfitters, didn't put some capital into the.
Well,
business,
we needed the
right?
units, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We couldn't do what we wanted to do. All we had, so we did this custom bespoke build of an 11,000 pound mobile sauna on a dual axle hydraulic trailer for Mr. Surly,
Omar Surly, man, yeah.
and that was an incredible build project, and so proud of the result, and realized, I don't know, not many weeks even into the experience, I took a sabbatical really from my day job. I mean, I was still like anything that needed my attention, I wouldn't let fall through the cracks, but I wasn't starting anything new. And so, John and I really oriented our lives and our initial company to do this build with some thinking that we're going to become sauna builders. And, that silliness wore off very quickly. We are definitely not sauna builders. In fact, we're not builders of anything other than communities, access to sauna, helping people on the business front maybe capitalize, get their events scheduled. So it's all, for us, I mean, we're outfitters, so we care about the equipment that we use, whether it's a sauna tent from Snow Trucker in Wisconsin, which is top of the line, or a Voyager custom mobile sauna that is light and as functional as it gets. I mean, it just couldn't get any better. For the whole form and function is in nice balance with Voyager. I mean, one person can move it around. I pick it and drop it by myself in my little truck every time. I mean, it's never a two-man affair.
What Eric's speaking about, or what Rod's speaking about, is Eric's work of converting his business from building bottom-up ice fish houses to bottom-up saunas. Yeah. And it's using a lot of the same foundational work. The jigs and everything for his ice fish houses
the
are
lowering
easily
mechanism.
Yeah,
the wheel assemblies.
And that's when Eric, going way back, because I went to an ice fish house show about 8 years ago, because I had built my mobile saunas using a stick frame 8x12, and it was like, when you see a house being redone and they bring the skip, what do you call it, the garbage or the
the roll off.
That's how I would have to move my mobile sauna, and that ain't too mobile.
You would on a roll off truck?
Yes, with Tough Shed, because they did the shelves for me.
So it was on skids.
Barely. It was the same same base as of the custom mobile sauna, just not the wheel thing. And I remember one day, it's funny, you get these little lessons about how things are right and how people give advice.
Yeah.
Someone said, a guy could stick a wheel axle on one of these and probably be a little better. I'm like, no, there's an idea.
Just with that aftermarket wheel assembly that Eric uses, right?
Yeah.
That's what he does. He
That's it.
creates a nib, slides it on, and that's it.
Yeah. And the real game changer is when that wheel assembly can be cranked up so the unit drops on grade, which has always been the game changer. That's why I went to that ice fish show.
Well, and there's also, so totally up transport, totally down in place.
Mhm.
Totally down isn't even a necessity. The beautiful thing about those pulleys and the tongue, you basically got 3 legs of a stool. So leveling it, because a lot of times we're on snow that's in half melt, we're in all kinds of weird places, and we could block it all up. But but just the wheel assemblies and the tongue,
Yeah.
you can even position it so if it's raining or snowing,
Yes.
the moisture goes off the side, not where
Yes.
the door is.
Yes.
And those
well
levelers
explained.
it's
Yes.
like seconds.
Yes, and we've been really leaning into the nuances of these builds, and I'm building one of these right now, as you know. Eric's done the shell, and then I'm kind of taking over at that stage. And the beauty is we've been able to use Stokeyard's 2 units so heavily that we're really at the incremental stage of how to make any change.
Right,
An example of that is the drains, like 2 drains underneath the bench, underneath that upper bench in the corner. So to your point about positioning the unit, we're able to just pitch it a little bit, and then little hose, little whatever. Done.
Those ice that technology actually makes cleaning easier.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just bring it up 6 inches on that side and leave this side where it is.
Yeah, and water doesn't need much of a pitch.
No.
Yeah, so cool. So that was the collaborative deal. That was like, oh man, these ice fish house chassis. What a great way to do mobile.
Yeah, and that was the catalyst for us having a mobile business, because we decided, well, we're not going to build, and we had already launched the Hewing, so we were activating, and so programming and activating, and seeing real success. Certain programs like the Full Moon, the Alfgus, these things were selling out, and so we knew that between the 612 and the community, that brought out the Hewing, which brings out a different community than the co-op folk. I kind of go between universes a lot, and so it's nice to see all these kind of target market demographics being able to be served. What we've created at the Village appeals to some Hewing people, appeals probably more to the 612 people, and it's these environments are different.
Right. It's like what's your favorite craft beer?
Well, I like a Scotch ale, so I'm going to go with Town Hall Breweries, Hope and King Scotch Ale.
Right. So if you were up in Duluth, or if you were at another craft brewer like Ben Paddle or whatever, you may be drawn to a Scotch ale.
Oh yeah. Instantly.
And you'll like it.
Yeah.
Because anyone making that effort to make their own beer is probably making a pretty damn good Scotch ale.
Unless they've done something goofy with a like a nutmeg or some kind of weird shit. I don't want any of that in there.
Amen. Amen. Well, you want good heat is the metaphor.
Yeah.
And that's what's really cool.
That is. So we didn't have to build after all. So we're pumping along at the Hewing. Things are good. Not enough for John to be full time, and so it's really when we bought these units and decided for real that we were going to be in the mobile business. The Village really actually hadn't taken shape yet. We just knew that if we had these units, we could rent them, we could create events in other spaces.
At breweries, other places.
In nature.
Yeah.
I mean, so many of our conversations, the two of us, you and me, brainstorm, where could it be? So, we could create a list of 100 in about 32 minutes.
Within 30 miles of here.
Yeah.
Think of that.
That's right.
And it opens up. You've always been a mobile guy. I mean, back to your Sprinter van and all that. So it really kind of must have resonated, the light bulb going on right away.
Well, I'm also an investor in Gerhard's, which is a wholesale bratwurst and kraut maker, but also the market probably knows him more by the yellow Gerhard's brats trailer. And there's some geospatial technologies, which is my day job, that could, I know, bring some order to the very fragmented, kind of business that this mobile asset land is. From, food trucks, of course, the Snap-on tool guy, a florist VW van, my Sprinter van, a trailer. I mean, all of these things, what they do in common is they lower dramatically the barriers of entry for an entrepreneur to decide if they have something that, as a business, does what they love translate into an income that is worth doing it.
Yeah. Well, and by that virtue, testing the market to see if other people love what the artisan is making.
That's right. And instead of getting in a lease and a bricks and mortar and a build out, whether it's a pop-up container that's fixed to a concrete pad in San Francisco, which was one of the places that really, my best friend Michael Lander is an urban developer, and for about 10 years he and I have traveled Copenhagen, Amsterdam, Barcelona, all around the world. And for him, and he lives in San Francisco, he is devoted to his enterprise, and so I am the, just the sponge mostly. Sometimes it's annoying, particularly if it's the same story over and over again, but a sponge for what's happening and what he sees could happen.
Nice.
And so, it's undeniable to say my crossing with Lander, this whole notion of a mobile, really local, in the urban fabric business, was influenced by these trips we took. We went to Portland and spoke with the guerrilla development fella that creates publicly funded. He creates, GoFundMe pages, and the community contributes $5, $50, $1,000 to development projects. I mean, a developer getting the frickin' citizens, the NIMBY citizens, to contribute, and he's done it time and again by creating something extraordinary out of dilapidated urban assets.
Beautiful.
So,
and is mobile a part of his plan for that, or not necessarily?
Not really, no, but pop-up is.
Yeah, pop-up.
So yeah, because there's these themes, pop-up, is pop-up mobile? I mean, mobile is mobile. In order to do pop-up, you need to move shit somewhere. But it doesn't mean you're optimized or you're thinking about a mobile business. Maybe your insurance isn't really optimized for that, or how you built the benches and what's going to go in the sauna for transport are all well thought out, and they stack nicely and you can clean easily. I mean, all of these things have to be thought of if you're going to operate a mobile business.
Right on. So nice fit, custom mobile saunas, the right widget for the right for the moment.
It was right there.
Yeah, beautiful. So we started doing happy hour saunas there, and I love. Oh, let's go into this Stokeyard Outfitters investing in 2 of these.
Yeah.
Why? What's your philosophy of investing in things, Rod? Like, can you speak to that? I mean, you've obviously been. I'll just interject. So, I know Rod really well in this space. I've hung out with him a lot in these 2 saunas that we're talking about. I donate, my time and in this village thing because it's really great, and I'm doing more. I'm a collaborator with these guys, so I've been very. I just have to say this. I've been kind of watching you, but it sounds so really awful, especially when you're talking about something. I've been getting I've been listening. I've been open to your energy. I've been open to your energy field, and I gotta say, you have no stress about what I can perceive. No stress about your financial investment into Stokeyard Outfitters. Even more than that is, you're really into it. I mean, like your time, we all understand, our scarcities in life. Maybe it's money or capital, or maybe it's time, and it's usually a lot of both. But when I've seen you, you seem really into it. You've invested in it with time and your own capital to the business. Can you speak to that? Why not stocks, for example? Why, what's your gig on this?
Yeah. Well, I think actually the easiest place to start the answer is I'm generally always investing in a person. If what they're talking about I don't care about, well, that's one thing. But I've done auto body repair, refractive surgery with eyeballs, new satellite constellations that are going to collect geospatial data. And those were the first chapter, and since I've been settled here and met you people, the Bratwurst, this little geospatial startup that's just trying to figure out how to integrate certain technologies and create end-use applications around events, really around events. And then sauna, but the people, so Gerhard, John Peterson, I got to know John, and I came to love sauna as part of my lifestyle. And so when it came time, when I heard John, I mean, one of the first times I met John, how did John and I meet? John and I met.
Yeah, bring that back just a little bit. John and you met, yeah, perfect. Little bit away from me. I got to have Rod hold this. He's on the upper bench, I'm on the lower bench. So
So John and I met when my friend Michael Lander, the same guy I was just talking about, agreed to throw down a pretty exorbitant sum of money to just make something happen in the public domain. He
keep going.
He donated thousands of dollars to bring the Little Box Sauna, which was really the first, I think, commercial mobile sauna that roamed these streets.
Yeah.
Glenn had one. There were some private ones. And there may have been events in them, but they weren't selling tickets, and they didn't have a website and all that stuff.
Non-structured until that moment.
I'm gonna
just
pause.
hit the red button.
Yeah. So first of all, I have
About that distance, perfect.
I have an
There, just like that, perfect.
Oh, cool.
Perfect distance.
And you can't do that.
You can.
Oh,
Let's
cool.
do that. You have what, right?
Yeah. So of course, in my life, I have 401k, and I have invested in lots of stocks over the years. Penny stocks when I was 16. I remember Maurice, my best friend, he got into Cora Datum, which was like a penny stock out of the DC area, and we'd look at the Washington Post. I mean, we sell candy and buy candy at the end of the Halloween. So we're like little capitalists. I mean, I have been from the beginning. And so, I've got an international business degree undergrad and an MBA in entrepreneurship. So business is just something that I always think of or am doing. But as I've gotten older, I just like investing in the people. And so the people that I and have invested in are all smart people. But more importantly, they're just really passionate about what they're doing. And they have a way of trying to make it happen that resonates with me. And that way is they're not trying to boil the ocean. They're just really trying to modestly create something and make a living from it. And so that's my story. If someone could be starting an accounting firm, and if I really believed in that person, I would put money. It's just like classic angel investing.
Yeah.
And I just put, we're not talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. We're always talking about tens or ones.
Yeah.
I mean, Packerland CrossFit, my niece Hillary and her husband Ty, they started it. I gave them a $5,000 loan and just, pay it when you can pay it. And then Stokeyard and Gerhard's and OmniEarth. They're not like massive amounts of money, but along with the money, I think most importantly is the time that I put into it.
Yeah. Go ahead. Let's talk about time. Let's cool down more. Do you mind?
Yeah. Here, hold on.
Are you cool? Are you happy?
I'm gonna do it.
You're gonna do a shot. See,
I don't want to go in.
Okay. There's. You go ahead and do that. I'm gonna just talk to those listening. So the thing about Rod also, that's beautiful, Rod. Thanks for sharing that. This is what I love about Sauna Talk too. That's a stout. You know that, right? Cool. So he's cracking a stout, and there's two things that are kind of common about people that are really into sauna, which I love, is Rod just exited the cold plunge, and we're hanging around here, and he doesn't want to hang around here in the change room. He wants to go take another cold shower. So God love you for that. It's like I'm gonna go jump in the Baltic again before I go a hot round, something of that nature.
You are right.
So that's that story, and so Rod invests in people, and this whole coming into sauna, and then he's going to talk about time, and time is an investment as much as capital or money. And wouldn't you say these are the big two?
Well,
money
right,
and
so
time?
it's the personal thing. So yeah, I could put $10,000 into something, like a company, like Best Buy.
Yeah.
Because I buy from Best Buy, they say you should, buy stocks of things that you use, that you evangelize. Well, people. I mean, oh my God, I got this friend John who wants to be a sauna meister. Isn't that amazing? I want to help him do that. Just like I want to help Best Buy make a profit. But the person, that's just so much more enjoyable to be a part of.
So what strikes me about that, Rod, is the person is more exciting than the business.
Yeah.
But I would have to say sauna is a little different than that. Well, not different. It's both of that. I think you've fallen. Look, you like bratwurst, right?
Right.
But you're not going to go crazy over them.
No.
But you love Gerhardt.
Yeah, Gerhard, man.
Yeah, man. So that's the person.
Well,
right?
and it fits in. I mean, I got some life coach certification, and particularly wanting to use it with small business owners and management teams, and that was my path.
Yeah.
And so, instead of coaching, which I did for a while, and I got certified, I did it long enough to get certified, enough hours. That's time. And so if I can put my money and my time, and so slivers of my little nest egg and slivers of my time, and put those together and then be wind beneath the wings of someone that's devoting their full time to it, well, then I can do it a few times, even at the same time.
Yeah.
And then I can be involved in different things and have the variability that keeps my mind sharp and be interested. And so, in a day, I can go from my day job, Eastview, into a Gerhardt's conversation, into a Stokeyard conversation, into a phone call with a friend that's doing something elsewhere that I'm just giving perspective on. And that is really an interesting day to me.
Nice. Thank you. Well said. This all sounds like great, and then you're really kind of living this optimal life that you've created of fulfillment and I would say purpose and meaning. And what doesn't turn your crank? Because that's, one could listen to that and say that sounds like a lot of work. What keeps it from work for you? And I'll ask the question to the negative. What drives you crazy? Like, what kind of sucks about this that you've created? And what do you try to avoid? Maybe that would be the best question. What do you try to avoid to keep this high level of commitment and contribution going? What do you try to avoid?
I try to avoid. I'd say that my secret for being able to enjoy this busy life, I'm busy, but that's not the answer. What I am is I have every day is full, but each day isn't jam-packed. A lot of buffers.
Yeah.
So managing my time and how I show up. For me, just my style, I have to be prepared. And that means being on time or early. If at Eastview, I always have the computer on, opened. I'm not navigating to things or dialing up a conference call while everybody's sat and watching this time unfold. Everything is like set up, ready to engage. And if I'm meeting someone for lunch, we'll have a little small talk. But if we're there like to help or to get into like a professional thing, let's just get going.
You like to get right into the
Let's
meat.
get going, right?
Yeah.
And like don't let it linger too long. It's got to stay fresh.
So I think I know one of the things that you do when you say you block time. You block time for yourself to do the things you love.
Yeah.
That isn't in this space.
And that is not in business. Yeah.
That's it.
Not at all.
And I think I know the answer, but list 2 or 3.
Yeah, mountain biking.
Very good.
Sauna, napping, just being disengaged from people, whatever that is. It could be reading a newspaper, it could be meditating, it could be stretching, it could be drinking a beer, smoking a joint. It doesn't matter. If it's not with people, then I am recharging. You know? Just like so many things fit that bill.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Rod. That's fucking great. I think you've really kind of, on the sauna bench, you've really kind of boiled down to some real optimal living principles. And I just want to thank you for that. You've been... Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Let me try to just finish. You've been a great inspiration to me. And
yeah, not just here on this bench, just in the time we've known each other, what you're saying. So, no, and you have for me. Yeah. I mean, we bring different things to our little community of people. And, you know, sitting on the sauna bench, you said it to begin with. You know, what can be talked about here is different than in most environments. But the kind of people that are willing to talk about what can be talked about here isn't everyone that sits here. And we take full advantage of what this can be.
Yeah, we do. And I just want to revisit this about finding time for yourself and doing what you want to do. And I love your answer because you answer so beautifully because it's so genuine, so honest. You love the mountain bike. Yeah. You love the sauna. And then, you know, so you don't want to just do what you want to do and not have to apologize for allowing time for that.
Yeah. I took a nap today.
Wonderful. I laid down with my cat.
Oh, that's so beautiful.
And I have this weird thing about napping, and that I feel like if I nap, I'm gonna wake up too late or too tired. Yeah, but I found a great meditative thing for 45 minutes. Julie turned me on to this, so when I want to nap, I turn this thing on, and this recording of a guy, and I'll tell you all about it. But anyway, when it's over, when he's done talking, I wake up. And it's kind of nice. I'll share it with you.
Yeah, do that.
But I love this. I would call it a secret. As a secret of high performance or high.
Well, I
of
think
living
that,
well.
You gotta take. Right. You know, you gotta take care of yourself, and it's such a simple thing to say, and there might even be connotations. Oh, okay. What is that? You know, I know what that means. But really what it means is, you know, just find what it means for you to take care of yourself. And so that includes movement, that includes recharging, and whether you're introverted or extroverted, where you fit on that spectrum, just get to know you and what makes you work best. And, you know, I guess I should just say me.
Yeah.
What makes me work best is a combination of physical movement, alone time, and deeply connected interactions with humans. And I don't know if there's much else. I mean, you know, food and water and blah, blah, blah. But every day, time for me, time moving, and a human connection.
Good. The big three for you.
Yeah,
you've taken it to a level that you actually know them. And that's consciousness. I mean, that's somebody who looks at the day, looks at a calendar, and says, I want to make time for these three things and some combination thereof. And you've created a life of that. You've taken ownership to your time. You do it very German-like. You know, you are very big on scheduling and calendarizing. And I want to spend more time with that, not on microphone and all that with the listeners to Sauna Talk, but this is a best practice for me. I've always I hate when people own my time and try to put shit on my calendar, but Rod is he does this on a different level, and this is what I love about Sauna Talk, is he's revealed to me that by putting things on his calendar and committing to them, he's allowing space for his own time. You block your own time.
Right. That is such a that is the key. I mean, a calendar is just a tool, but that tool, you know, for me, you know, some people have different tools that really work for them. The calendar for me is like an A-lister. And so what it does is it allows me to build the boundaries and the buffers. There's travel time, there's prep time, there are these time, you know, 30 minutes or an hour between things
Yes.
is not wasted time. It's
Right.
extraordinarily useful time.
So budget for it.
Right. And back to back to back. So, I mean, when I used to manage people, I mean, things really changed for me about 5 years, between 4 and 5 years ago when I shifted at Eastview and went to not full time and went to not having, I had sales and marketing staff and reps and quotas and things that, a sales director would have and a marketing director would have. And all of that changed when I just went into strictly business development and kind of the whale hunting. And what that gave me was the time really to own my time. Because when you have people report to you, it's an incredible responsibility that you have to be there for them, check in with them, manage them, lead them, engage them, challenge them, whatever.
But you were able to manage your own time through business development.
That's right.
Yeah. And that gave you you learn like systems and tools.
Oh yeah. I mean, from going from empty nesting to, the professional managing a team of people, then to nothing. It was so beautiful.
That's great.
It's like I retired actually, and then I decided how I want to make my living.
Nice. I love that. And how long ago was that, Rod?
Yeah, between 4 and 5 ago.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when Trier went to college.
Yeah.
Once the writing was on the wall, all right, man. Empty nesting is, that chapter of my life is soon. It's happening.
Yeah. Cool. Let's talk about sauna. You are an avid. How often do you sauna, Rod?
I sauna every other day.
Yeah. Is that on average, or do you try to get into that rhythm?
On average, when I do, I keep data. I just keep my own data on what movements, how I moved today. Push-ups, pull-ups, mountain biking, time. And one of the things I started keeping track of last year was when I sauna. So I now have a year and a half. I know every day I sauna.
Yeah.
On a spreadsheet. I'm like a data guy.
Nice.
And it
How
comes to
Go ahead.
20 to 25, or I should say 13 to 15 a month.
Yeah. How do you do you schedule sauna in a week? Like or is it flow?
It flows. With all the opportunities that we have to host events between the Hewing and the village, what I do know is I rarely actually have to schedule a sauna unless I'm meeting someone, like sauna talk, or I'll have Gerhard's meetings or other kinds of conference calls and meetings in a sauna. And there I've been mindful, like I see, oh man, I don't have to be anywhere till 10 a.m. Yeah. So I'm going to go to the village, fire up the sauna, do this email, this conference call that I could also do anywhere else, and then have a sauna. That's like kind of like a spontaneous schedule that I might see the night before.
Yeah.
And then
You'll see the window.
Yeah, I see the window. I look for windows. I'm always looking for windows to do the movement thing. Because, my order of priority, honestly, is, I have professional commitments. And I know I'm going to take care of me. So I don't need to schedule my movements. I'll schedule the professional commitments, and the movements will fill, because I love that.
And your movements are varied, so you can adapt. I'm going to hop on this bike here. I'm going to go work out indoors.
Yeah, I'm going to go to the Hewing, and before I sauna at the Hewing, I'm going to use their gym.
Yeah.
I'm going to use my gym at my house, then go to the village. Nice. I'm going to just do push-ups and sit-ups, or do some splitting of the wood at the yard or at the village, and so there's so many ways to get movement. You do it too.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Like
Skating.
today was a miss a little bit, because my movement was cleaning this spot here.
No, I know, but that's movement.
It is. It is movement.
Sauna,
and it's productive movement, right? Like productive in the sense that you could sit. Yesterday I sat on the stationary bike in the basement. That was productive for my well-being, but it wasn't. I didn't change anything. The bike's still sitting there, and the garage was still needing to be cleaned.
You got your heart rate up.
Yeah.
The sauna is a day. I definitely like doing a sauna when I haven't done. If it's like a non-movement day.
Yeah.
Oh, just let the sauna just do its little magic on this off day.
Lovely.
Today's an off day.
Beautiful. So I asked, did we caught up with the Eddie and the Keys? We got things rolling. I think we're closed there, unless you.
The village is becoming more than what it is, and It sits on the backs of a lot of individuals that wanted it to happen, including the patrons that now come regularly 4 times a week in some cases, because we're open 4 days a week. And so I'd say it's kind of, I mean, the coronavirus is going to give us a pause, and we're going to go back to it when we're through that. And sauna,
But it's giving us an opportunity to improve the space.
It is.
And
it is. We'll turn water on.
Yeah.
We'll build some decking. We'll change the tenting and the other infrastructure. We'll make room for another sauna that will come in. So, you know, this is a natural time for us, in essence, to do kind of inventory switchover.
Yeah, it's perfect.
And
maybe a lot of businesses will be doing the same.
I think so too. I mean, you know, I hope so. It's, you know, people can sit idle and kvetch, or imagine that it's not going to be the forever state.
Yeah.
And clean their house.
Yeah,
and,
man. Yeah.
Start playing solitaire again.
So today you knew, yeah, man. Yeah, that's right. But yeah, budget some me time.
Yeah, it's me time.
Yeah,
I mean,
man.
you know, like go. I'm not going to get to go. You know, we'll figure it out.
Today was a sauna day for you. You woke up knowing you were gonna come to 5621, sit on the bench.
I sauned last night at the village, and Eric invited me to sauna today. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I know I'm going to be sauna already at the end of the day.
Yeah, so there you go. There's no shortage of windows for sauna.
There aren't, right?
As you think about that experience, the day of sauna, you wake up, you know you're going to sauna. The leading up to, the showing up to sauna, the stoking of the stove, the piddling around, maybe the splitting of the firewood, round one, that first introduction of Lolu, the steam from water being tossed on rocks, the first cool down, the second round, the third, and then even this full spectrum of you're going to go home, you're going to have some food, you're going to go to bed. As you think about that whole spectrum, Rod, what is your favorite moment, if you had to distill it to one, in that whole sequence of sauna that you love the most?
Yeah, and you're describing the village experience, because the Hewing would be different, because it's just such a different environment. The sauna is already on.
Yeah.
But I would say, you know, if there's probably 2 or 3 moments that belong on the high list, and lighting the sauna and having those first few pieces of wood catch, and really from the moment I open the gate to 2 minutes later, I know I have a fire I'm going to work with. And that's a satisfying feeling. That's long before it's hot. I mean, you know, it could be 0 degrees. But once you see that fire, you know that it's going to get warm. No matter how cold it is, it can be freaking blowing and blizzarding out there. And once that fire catches, it all begins. So I'd say that's the earliest high moment.
Okay.
And then I like a stretch round. So rising the rise, you know, entering at the 150, 160, and rising it up to 180, with the first round being just me stretching, using the sauna, and just moving in ways that I wouldn't do if a bunch of people were around, because I'd be taking up way too much space.
So you're entering round one, and it's still rising up to temp. Give us 1 or 2 stretches you especially like in the hot round, Rod.
The pigeon.
Okay. Yeah,
You know,
and that's where you're on the upper
hips.
bench.
Yeah,
And you're really into it.
Your legs are right. You're splayed, the whole upper bench, and then you cobra out of it. And I just like that whole the hip, and then the reverse movement, that lower back stretch.
Beautiful. If pigeon's number 1, what's number 2? Well, you said cobra.
Yeah, cobra is part of that experience, and then I don't know what it's called, but I learned it in the Philippines, and I can do it really well.
Yeah.
You know, what we would call, well, I won't even say what we would call it, but we'll just call it the Filipino squat.
Fair enough.
And so, you know, that is such a nice, I could do this for a whole round. I do. Sometimes during an Alex Alfgus, I'll do my round like that.
Fascinating.
Because I like, you just melt into those hips again.
Nice. Very good. This is a very appropriate question for you, Rod. I always ask a guest to Sauna Talk this question, and I say if, but I don't have to start with if. So I will say, well, yeah, if you could bring your mobile sauna anywhere in the world, what's the first place that comes to mind?
Well, I guess, I mean, I can think of a specific place, but I would take it anywhere that would work. So think of the Brule River.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a stream. The water is in motion. It's cold.
Yeah.
But there are these pockets where you can just lay down. Yeah. So different than a lake where you might cut a hole or jump in. Something about having the sauna next to water that when you lay down, it's like a waterfall.
Yeah.
You're in a horizontal waterfall and you're laying.
Yeah. And where
stream.
Does a stream come to mind, or just stream? Brule. And where then?
Brule in this case, like I said, I could find many between now and then, all up and down the North Shore. But Brule is upper Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Big,
toward Ashland area? Yeah. Beautiful.
North of, so between Superior and Ashland.
Beautiful. Yeah, and you could roll the sauna right up there, and the sauna could find a spot. You could drop the wheels and get it level.
I just think a stream. I mean,
yes.
Lake Superior, I mean, that's not a bad choice.
No, it's
but
not.
If there's a place where you're combining some things, fresh, fast-running water that you can just lounge in. I mean, I have dinner with my daughter and my wife and my wife's sister who's in town.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
in following it, just in close, mobile sauna by a stream and all that, and if you could sauna with anybody in the world, dead or alive, you're on this mountain stream, and this is, dead or alive, past, present. Who's the first person that comes to mind you'd like to sit on the bench with?
Well, the person I always think that I'd like to talk to is Gandhi. So, would he sit on a sauna bench?
I think he'd be cool on that.
Yeah?
Yeah. Beautiful. You've had many, last question, you've had many saunas. You've hosted. You're like John. I mean, you're there. You are the clipboard guy in a lot of these events. And you bring people into the sauna experience. And that's a unique place. A lot of people, they grew up with sauna in a family environment and they have one in their backyard, and they're not like bringing new folks into the program like you've done many. And that's the lead up to my question is, what do you think is most misunderstood about sauna for people that really don't know sauna? Like what would you like, if you could now you could write something and have people read it and be better understood about sauna that know nothing about it, what would you say is most misunderstood?
Yeah, or maybe not yet understood.
Fair
How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I might take that too literally.
Yeah.
How it can, it can just reset. It offers numerous things at once, I'd say, is what people wouldn't understand. So it's this thing that looks like a closet and it gets hot. And so a well-designed sauna is going to offer you circulatory benefits, meditative benefits, stretching and kind of muscular anatomical benefits, social benefits. And it can happen, and if you're lighting a fire, there's certain, and splitting wood, there's just so many benefits that can happen from 3 rounds of hot and cold. I don't know. I guess there's so much more to it than what someone might think.
Beautiful.
So much more.
Thank you, Rod.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.